The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
But King Santa over... King Santa... Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another comically long review. Listen, I've been a little critical of Power Rangers, the comic series Power Rangers that I'm reviewing an issue of today, to be clear, for its Astronema divergence over to Onyx. It just felt a little bit cheap to me with the Heir to Darkness graphic novel coming out at the same time. However, this series was apparently conceptualized to explore the Power Rangers canon outside of Mighty Morphin, so that does at least fit. Nonetheless, Astronema and Ecliptor are in the rearview mirror, and it's time for the Omega Rangers to get back to work. Let's take a look at Power Rangers issue number 7.
Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel.
Yeah, and make sure you got your notifications set up by hitting that little bell icon. Right you.
What he said was, you can consider checking us out on Patreon or Ko-fi at Orange Ranger Videos.
The main cover is okay. It's Zack, morphed, fighting the soldiers that ride on the big purple guys. We've only seen them in flashbacks, so that's interesting. And the sky now has a refreshing mint flavor. Interesting variant here. Very crowded. The Omega Rangers are fighting three-eyed aliens who almost seem to be trying to eat them. Yep, a blank white cover for this one as well. Okay, I don't even care if Lord Draken is overexposed. This is beautiful. It's the Peach Momoko Splash variant, Draken morphing into his Ranger form. The Rangers are back on Safe Haven playing Toronto Ball. Don't worry, I only remembered that because they do name it again in a few pages. With Draken.
I get it.
I don't get it.
This is strange. It feels out of character for both of them. I have no issue believing that the Omega Rangers would form a bond with Draken, if only because of spending so much time together. Slowly, over a lot of time, and really only because Draken is Tommy Oliver. I just don't feel like it would happen this fast. And as for Draken, he's a prisoner of the Omega Rangers. Why would he be interested in playing a game with them? It's Jason and Draken versus Zack and Yale. Giant cats make good goalies. Zack racks up a lot of points, mainly because, as we'll be reminded, the home team makes the rules of Toronto Ball, so he can score for doing whatever he wants. Somehow, it's still a close game. Team Thunder Kitty only leading Team Fire Chickens by 5. Draken attacks with psychology, poking at Zack's constant comedy as a lack of self-confidence, or a compulsive need to be loved. Draken draws the score within 2, but just as he goes to score, he gets electrocuted. The ball rolls out of bounds, and the game ends. So, Draken got electrocuted because Zack set his collar off. He playfully denies it, but Jason says that's cheating. He says it isn't because, as I said earlier, the home team makes the rules. Draken actually laughs it off, saying he'd have done exactly the same. In fact, he's proud of Zack, that he didn't let a silly thing like morality come between him and victory. You might wonder why Draken was playing instead of Trini. She's over here, following the Troy method of training, smashing up containers of some sort. Jason finds her and asks why she didn't come to play, and she's upset that they were playing with Draken. Jason says that's only because she didn't play, but she brushes that off and warns him not to get comfy with Draken, a man known for literally stabbing people in the back. Jason asks if she's okay, dropping a cute little reference about not being able to read her mind like on Brielle from Go-Go. She's just antsy about G's hunt for the Empyreals. Jason starts reminiscing back to them testing their powers by fighting each other, and he starts talking about how things have changed, but not everything has changed, just some things have...
What are you talking about?
Neither does Trini, but when she asks, he nervously just says he's being stupid and they need to get back. Using the ancient Morphin Master architecture ingrained in Safe Haven, I was able to complete a deep space scan for any residual emissary energy signatures.
And that, of course, naturally created an amplification of the inherent energy output.
I see that.
Anyway, Xi has tracked their trail through 3 planets, all of them now devastated. The first 2 planets didn't have much life to begin with, but on the 3rd, Xi estimates a loss of 2.3 million? No. Billion. The Empyreals killed 2.3 billion people on that 3rd planet. Draken declares them walking acts of God, and even speculates that they may have wiped out the dinosaurs on Earth. Zack brings up a good point. They can find them, but what are they going to do when they find them? Just ask them to stop? Trini has reviewed the scans from their last fight, and thinks if they generate an energy vortex between 2 of their Zords, it could do some real damage. Zack was thinking more along the lines of a 4th Zord, aka a new blue Omega Ranger. They have the Morpher, they just need to find a candidate. Draken says blue isn't really his color, but Trini dismisses that idea straight away anyway. Jason says being at full strength would be nice. Power Rangers has a pretty standard rule for team composition, at least at the start. Teams either start at 3 and go up to 5 or more, or start at 5 and continue to go up from there. What I'm saying is it's incredibly rare for a Ranger team to only have 4 members. So it makes me wonder why the Omega Rangers would be at full strength with only 4 Rangers. Jason asks where the Empyreals are headed, and G says they're headed for Hartunia. That's the name of the bad guys riding on the giant pink dudes on the cover, by the way, the Hartunians. I also just realized that the flashbacks we've seen them in are over in Mighty Morphin, learning Zordon's backstory, so this is tying those stories together. The Rangers start making plans to prepare, but G points out that the Hartunians are notoriously evil.
You are by far the most evil thing I've encountered. Offer your soul to me, Dark One.
And will not just accept their help. Draken pipes up here agreeing. Something minor but very interesting then. Zack tells Draken that him supporting them doesn't help. I got confused for a second until I realized that Zack was talking about Xi using a gender-neutral pronoun. Kudos! Anyway, Trini asks if they should just let the Empyreals wipe out Hartunia, and they say that would make the universe a safer place. Xi explains what the Hartunians do. They invade peaceful worlds, immediately killing their leaders as a warning. They then enslave the population to mine the planet's natural resources. They claim they're developing these worlds, but really it's just oppression and colonization. Jason says if they don't act, they'll die. And we don't play God, Xi.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
So, yeah, Jason, by going to save them, you actually are playing God. I mean, so are the Empyreals, but you could say the Empyreals are acts of God. Draken actually said that just a few pages ago. By defending their world, you are interfering and playing God. As Star Trek has pointed out, Sometimes non-interference means allowing terrible things to happen. The Spectrum arrives at Hartunia, saying the Emperor hasn't answered any of their distress calls. Why is the Spectrum making distress calls? The good news is that since Hartunia does colonize other worlds and stuff, there's no need to hide anything, just wearing simple color-coded gis. Jason says this isn't their first rodeo, but Zack makes a dumb joke about unless it was really a rodeo, in which case it would be. You know, that is actually true. The Rangers did visit a rodeo in Hamilton Comics MMPR number 5, but that was after the power transfer, so that was Adam, Rocky, and Aisha. G says they need to find a royal representative and bribe them to get delivered to the royal court. Draken declares this a waste of time, but when the Rangers leave, he says this should be very interesting. The Rangers arrive in the market, and I'm just gonna make the reference they keep dancing around.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
They wander through and encounter some shady merchants. One tries to sell Jason a necklace that's supposedly from Gorvinos 3, one of the worlds the Empyreals attacked. Zack has wandered off, talking to a merchant trying to sell him some of these Warvits, which are alive and talking. Zack decks the dude for it, and even Jason just compliments the punch. This, of course, draws some attention. Now, G made it clear to the Rangers that they shouldn't reveal that they are the Rangers. Welp, it's morphin' time! This page is basically the Omega Ranger morph sequence. And it's pretty sick! The Rangers fight, bemoaning the wrecked plan and pointing out that they need to hold back since they are trying to save these people, even if, as Zack says, maybe there is no saving them. Zack frees the Warvits as the Rangers are surrounded, but then a noble regent of the province shows up, knowing who the Rangers are, and being ordered to bring them back to the palace alive. The Rangers explain the situation, but King Santa over here, the Emperor, says he already knows. His prophets predicted the Empyreals generations ago, and that this Emperor, Rether Till, would defeat them. Trini objects, but the Queen can't believe she'd speak to the King. Emperor. Wait, is she the Empress then? As an equal, ordering them fed to the Ordovox, and those are the big pink dudes. Check. He calms her, ordering her to see to the women. She leaves, warning him not to trust the Rangers. He tells them she has a point, and we see sort of the straw man argument an evil empire could make against the Rangers, the moral justification, if you will. In the past, the Rangers have prevented their expansion, denied them resources, and killed their soldiers, all supposedly in the name of peace. Jason says he can't speak for other Rangers, but they are here to fight by their side and buy them the time that they need to evacuate. The Emperor laughs this off, saying they will never leave their world. Oh, and a weird little note here. When the Emperor laughs, 2 eyes close, but the third eye stays open. Weird. The Emperor goes all Loki, saying he has an army. Zack has the moral focus this issue, saying they probably have no choice but to die for their Emperor. Trini begs him to let them help save his people, but he feels like they only want to steal glory for themselves. He charges them with the ever-ambiguous crimes against the Empire and orders the soldiers to do as my queen demanded. Listen, either she's an empress or he's a king, make up your mind! And feed them to the Ordovox. Jason says Draken was right, but Trini says that's because he's a cynic. And cynics are wrong even when they're right.
Excuse me, the f did you just say?
Jason notices Zack is being quiet, but he's just waiting for Jason to give the word for them to escape. Suddenly, their guards are hit with tranq darts fired by robed figures from behind. They uncloak, more Hartoonians, but they say if the Rangers' intentions are true, they need to follow right away. They duck the Rangers into a side hall and decoy the guards away. The Rangers ask why they're doing this and who they are. And it's the Queen. But now she calls herself an Empress. Okay, fine, listen, I guess they're using the terms King and Queen and Emperor and Empress interchangeably. Empress Ivor Till humbly begs the Rangers to save her people. And that's where the story leaves off. This is an interesting issue. There's a lot of setup as the story steers itself back to the Imperial situation, which is now driving both comic lines. Zack gets this character focus on morality, both cheating at Toronto Ball at the start of the issue, and his various indignations on Hartoonia. And I can just see this delicious conflict between the Ranger teams starting to form, as Zordon would see the Hartoonians as bloodthirsty enemies, while the Omega Rangers are now making friends there. But there were some odd inconsistencies this time, weird little writing hiccups that made me raise an eyebrow. Not a bad issue, but it's another one of those that'll get better as we know more of the story. Power Rangers, issue number 7, gets a 3.75 out of 5. Next time on a comically long review, we've reached the halfway point of the newest Ultraman miniseries. Ultraman got blasted by a giant robot kaiju. Did he survive? Well, there are 3 more issues of the series, so you tell me. The next of those is the next comic that I'm reviewing, Trials of Ultraman, issue number 3. That is going to do it for another comically long review. Thank you, heroes, so much, as always, for watching. Now that the video's done, you can let me know what you thought of this issue, as well as my review of it, down in the comments below. While you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up button to let me know that you enjoyed this video. And if you're interested in lending any financial support to my channel, you can feel free to check me out on Patreon or Ko-fi, or check out my Teespring to get great Orange Ranger merch just like that. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. And that's really only because Tommy Oliver is yeah, doing it again. I also just realized that the flashbacks we've seen them in are over in Mighty Morphin, leading I got confused for a second until, yeah, well, I mean, I stopped, so. Trini realized Zack, and that this Emperor, Rether Till, would defeat them. Suddenly, they're